Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stack Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Shubhangi, and we are back again with another guest. We have Margarita today with us. Margarita began her journey in BI consulting and has several years, spent across different technologies, Microsoft Stack, and then solving complex data puzzles. She currently works at ALDI as a manager for data analytics and also as a product owner for various initiatives within the organization. Beyond her corporate responsibilities, she's a prominent voice and speaks at a lot of conferences as well on data strategy and digital transformation. And she's also an advocate of women in tech. She has joined as a member as well in the DSCH area and obviously tries to foster an inclusive environment. So, welcome, Margarita, to the show. Anything you would like to add to your introduction?
No, I think you mentioned more or less everything. I feel honored about your introduction and also honored to be here today.
Thank you. We are glad that you have joined us. So I think we'll start with the first question that I ask with everybody, like, what's your technology origin story? And how did you end up, like, for example, being in data analytics, data strategy? And was this something you were like passionate about since the beginning, like when you were studying probably, or like when you were like early days of your education, or it just happened, over the course of like working in this area?
For me, it was in the beginning not so sure that I would like to work with data. After I ended school, I wanted to become a teacher here in Germany. But
Yeah.
after some time, I realized, okay, that's really not the place where I want to work. Um, the education system is really broken, and I think I will run into a burnout.
Yeah.
And after some time, I decided then to make a change. I was always interested also in mathematics, so I tried to study mathematics because also reason I canceled this and wanted to do an apprenticeship. It's not a studying, it's something that is more specific also to Germany, where you really
Yeah.
then work and go to school at the same time. And I searched for different topics, and informatics was then the thing that I wanted to join. And I
Yeah.
started to do my apprenticeship at BP.
Yeah.
I remember then at some time that I went there through different departments because in this apprenticeship you see different things, and I had someone then who tried to bring me the data world closer. And as it was clear that I will join his department, he came to me and said, like, yeah, here's the SQL conference. You should join because in a couple of months you will also be working my department. I was like, okay, oh my gosh, I don't know. I never heard of databases at the time. I never saw one line of code of SQL and joined then this SQL conference. And there I just barely understood 40 or 50% of the things people were talking about. But I
Yeah.
found it so fascinating and interesting, especially about the capabilities, what you can do with data, that I fell immediately in love and knew on this conference already, I want to work with data. That's where I want to stand someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more or less my story.
Okay, I think it's very interesting and inspiring as well, I would say. I think now we'll talk a bit more about like your role and your experience essentially. So as a product owner in data analytics, how do you prioritize, for example, technical depth, platform scalability, and delivering immediate business value, especially when, stakeholder expectations are quite high?
Yeah, I think the most obvious thing where you put a prioritization into is value. And with this, I really mean the business value, like how much money or how much effort do I take into implementing something, and
Yeah.
how much value do it come out. And for me, it is really also important to have a look at both, because I know sometimes in projects they just have the eye on the benefits, but the
Yeah.
benefits are not so interesting when you have to put a lot of effort in there. So it
Yeah.
should always be more the return of investment that is interesting when we look at this kind of things. But I also try to have some buffers for these things like technical debt, because technical debt will also lower the return of investment. If we have a product or a platform that does not run effectively, then the costs are higher just to maintain it and to run it. And we can't get the maximum benefit out of it. So there should always be some part of it to put in there. And then additionally, there are always also security topics. And maybe also because my background where I had my apprenticeship, the security topic was a really big one. Also out of reasons. And I always think that it's important to have also these functionalities and features in there. Not only when you're talking about some policies that can be within the company, but also around it, that something is implemented that blocks also developers from making something broken.
Yeah.
Because this would also then be a big benefit, more in the way of we are avoiding a situation or a risk that can happen and cost us a lot of money. But in the end, all of this, at some point, only the legal ones and maybe also policies that are within a company have always to do in the end with money and business value.
So I think I have a question on that. So you remember you did a session last year on like the women in data, which was like the power of saying no. So I think it's a little bit tied to that, and the answer that you just gave is like sometimes, like when you create something, for example, let's say dashboard, and like people come back, stakeholders that, we want this and that, and like there's a whole list of things. So I know you gave some tips in that session around like how can you like say no and like make sure that like, it's balanced, like what you're building versus what the expectations are. So I think if somebody is listening to this podcast now, I think the question is like what recommendations you will give, like how do you balance that, like because like stakeholders can ask for a lot of things, and like how do you balance that requirement versus, building that stuff? What recommendations would you give for that?
Always have a look into the effort of implementing something, and also have or really have a strong basis for this effort estimation. And the second is also always the benefit. Sometimes the benefit can be money, but if the effort is really, really low, you can still build something if it increases the relationship. And a strong relationship can also then effectively deal with the no in a better way than when you don't have the relationship. If you have a stakeholder and you tell them always no, and to a different stakeholder never no, this will be seen within the relationship, and it will also get into a disbalance. So also try to think about the different groups of stakeholders that you maybe have and prioritize them. So it's also always important to have a strong stakeholder analysis beforehand to understand who are the most important people you want to talk to and you want to be happy, because you will definitely not be able to make everyone happy. That's not possible, especially not in the corporate world. But you need to understand who is important for you, who do you want to be happy in the end, and then try to balance it out. And the last thing is also, when you say no, don't do it without something else, not just saying like, no, I'm good at saying no, and I hate it when people do it. I'm like, I have this idea, can I do it? No. Okay, then help me. How can I now do it? Can I do it differently? Or who do I need to talk to go further? If there's just a no, I'm just standing there and I'm somehow disappointed. So always try to give context and support still if you want to say no. And the support can also mean to say, okay, I hear you, I understand your problem. Here may be some possible alternative timelines that I can provide to you, or also other stakeholders to talk to. So if this is really the idea you want to pitch, I can pinpoint you to the right person to talk to. And when you also get this person to agree with your idea, then I can put it into my backlog. Can also be a possible way. But in this case, the person has some kind of action that they can still do, and does not feel so helpless. Or the other way around, where you say it's really no, and it would definitely not happen in the next 5 years, then really go into detail and transparency why.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good answer. Yeah, I would say the same probably. Yeah. Okay, so from that, we'll go to the next question. So, while shaping a data strategy, how do you ensure alignment between data engineering capabilities and real world business decision making? For example, if it's needed across regions or functions.
In the end, it's a point of communication. Try to have a good relationship to the different groups. Here we're
Yeah,
talking again about the different stakeholder groups because sometimes it's hard and you need to talk to the data engineer. Sometimes you just need to talk to the business people, and then you just need to understand where exactly is your product or your platform directed at. Try to find your main customer, talk to them, and talk what they exactly need. And when it's then also different regions or functions, try to balance them out. Sometimes the bigger company is there can be even some kind of prioritizations about projects. I saw this now in multiple companies that there were some lists that you could ask about, like, okay, this project was asking me something about the data.
yeah,
Is this something that is really important for the company or not? Where there's a project prioritization within the complete company. Because in reality, every customer and every stakeholder will come to you and tell them, like, I'm the most important project, use case, whatever.
yeah,
Does not mean that they are. And
yeah.
if there's some kind of PMO, talk to them, ask them, find out even within the company who currently has also the most attention and the most benefits that you can bring.
Okay. No, I think I would say, yeah, probably this is the way forward because you have to have good relationships. Uh, of course, and everyone's work is important. So I generally feel like when everything is important, then nothing is important, really. So I guess that goes without saying it. Um, so now we're gonna ask some other questions. So one question definitely about like, everybody's talking about AI. So, for example, if somebody is looking right now for a role in today's job market, right? From your experience, what three tips will you suggest they should follow to like land a role, for example, and like for example in data engineering or data transformation side of things?
Definitely, with all of the AI topics, it's beneficial if you have already a good basis and understanding how AI is working. And with this, I really mean the basics, even not just to understand, okay, here are some Gen AI tools and I can do some prompting and then I have the outcome, but really understand what's behind it.
Mm.
Even within IT, I see sometimes people who utilize things like ChatGPT as a Google substitute.
Yeah,
And you need to understand that ChatGPT is a language tool and not a Googling tool. The
yeah,
information can be right, but it can also be wrong with the hallucination. And this is what I mean really with understanding the basics and also the direction where it goes to. But if you then understand for which tool you can use what, it will
yeah,
be beneficial. And I see that a lot of people within the industries are also eager then to learn from you, like, oh, you did this, can you show it to me how? And then
yeah,
you can also be or you can really make people excited about you. The other thing
okay,
is still the personal thing, the human touch. Because in the end, I think this will be the one thing that will also differ us still from the AI. I know that more and more people also using ChatGPT as the therapist, but a real human connection cannot be replaced. And a
yeah,
good network and a good just this human connection point, this will be important to understand the people and to help them feeling also secure and good with the project. and
Okay.
giving them the confidence, especially also when going into leading. I think also in the development area, leading is a big point. If you can take up a mentoring role or taking juniors with you, that's something that at some point is also expected. And especially here with the developers who sometimes lack at the soft skills or the social skills,
Yeah.
there could be a big improvement.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're great tips. I think this is the last question I'm gonna ask you, which is I think so as a woman in tech, what challenges have you faced, for example, navigating roles in data or technology? And how would you suggest someone can build credibility and confidence in space in this, in this space? And this is for basically like any women in tech who probably is watching this podcast and like, wants to, like is probably in the same position.
It's something that I had always the feeling about that you will be underestimated.
Yeah.
You always have to prove yourself. And this again and again and again with most people that you will meet around your career.
Yeah.
Especially when I was in the consultancy, I had the feeling it was even stronger. When my male colleague with less job experience was at the customer, he was taken seriously. He's the expert. He knows what he's talking about. But me, with more experience, was doubted. I was questioned. And this was something that I saw really, really frequently, especially then in this customer consultancy relationship. But even within the same colleagues, you
Yeah.
always have to prove yourself. The more technical the topics get, the more it is. While then things like, but you have empathy and you have a strong network, that's something that comes naturally to you. It's also not something that comes naturally to me, but I've just learned it within my career. But somehow it supports that this is because of my gender somehow. And you just need to stay above it and you need to work through it. And at least from my point of view, we have a lot that we need to do. We're
Yeah.
still not there where we want to be. But even within my career now with more than 10 years of experience, I see that it gets a little bit better, that there are more people coming who just talks from me from the first second eye to eye. And I see also more women in tech working and also being successful. And I wish that someday we don't need to talk about all of these topics anymore. At someday I have more free time because I don't have to engage myself in this voluntary work because it's getting normal and something that we really don't need to talk about. Yeah. But also searching for other women, trying to find someone who supports you because you speak more or less in some experiences the same language. That is helpful. And the other way around, if you get more senior, try to support the women who are coming after you.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice towards the end. With that, we come to the end of the segment. So next round is just gonna be a rapid fire round. I'm gonna ask you like some 4 or 5 questions, and you have to give just one worded answer on that. Okay. So first question is, what's your favorite chart type? If you are building a report, let's say in Power BI,
Lines.
and why? Maybe one word.
Clean.
Clean. Okay, cool. What's the first like programming language you ever learned? Any kind of language. It could be SQL or like Java or something, or code could be totally different also.
Turbo Pascal.
Okay. Cool. Okay, that does make sense. What's the one AI tool at the moment that you're using that you like absolutely like and you probably would like to use it as long as you can?
Gemini.
Gemini. Okay. Um, what is the one, key skill, like soft skill basically, that you think is really, really a key to like have a like successful career, for example, in like technology or engineering or wherever basically you sit?
Understanding requirements.
Requirement gathering. Okay. And I think the last question is, if you were not like working in the role that you are right now, for example, as a data analytics manager, what other things you would be doing?
I would be an artist.
Okay, great. So yeah, with that, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you, Margarita, for joining us. And stay tuned. This episode will be out on my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you.